One writer said, "Let us honor mothers of all kinds, those who serve as mothers, those who would be mothers, those who have the capacity to love and to be loved as only the great mother can love." You know, there's nothing else in the world like the bond between a mother and a child. And you don't have to be a mother or even a female to get that, to realize what it must be like to carry this birth, to carry this living being inside of your own body. And then at just the right time to watch that baby be born and to look at that new life and to realize that the cord of your life sustained and nurtured. And because of that connection, every healthy individual, every person who has a healthy state of being, every mother will do anything and everything to take care of her children. Amen, mothers? Amen. Amen. That includes what we call tough love. A mother knows all too well that part of real love is being able to watch your child fall and let them experience what it feels like to fall. Because the overprotected plant, so to speak, is the one that is the weakest. And a real mother knows that. The mother's love is not just this mush-mush love that is constant grace and constant mercy. A mother's love is that perfect balance between severity and mercy. A mother's love is truly that part of God love that will do anything to see its creation recognize who it is, develop itself, and be safe, and yet learn from its mistakes. Every mother knows that. And when those hard times come that a child must be punished, or even when children get older, if they must go to jail, the mother can understand in her mind that that may need to happen and be supportive that, yes, you need to be punished, but the mother would never, ever celebrate that, right? Because a mother is going to want to see the child learn to be responsible, but that mother will always love no matter what. So I found it really almost paradoxical this week that in the week in our culture, because Mother's Day has been celebrated in the United States since the 1800s. I'll talk about that in just a second. But this particular week, when our country, many people danced in the street because the murder of one man, and I'm talking about bin Laden. And while I absolutely believe and know that it is necessary when you have individuals who assume the role of a terrorist or a murderer, then just as our child, we would want our child to be held accountable. We would want our child to be locked away if necessary so they couldn't hurt others. But we would never cheer and dance and say, thank God, like from The Wizard of Oz, ding dong, the witch is dead. You see, there's something really scary when we can get caught up in that energy because we demonize people. And it's the mother's energy that always realizes, it's the mother love that always says, you may have been a terror to the world, and you may need to be removed because you don't know how to behave without hurting yourself and hurting others. But I will never celebrate that. I will mourn it. I will be sad. Can you feel that sadness? It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who said, I mourn the loss of thousands of precious lives, but I will not rejoice in the death of one, not even an enemy. Returning hate for hate multiplies hate, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hatred cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. The desert monk said, pray first for the gift of tears to soften the fear and to harden pray first for the gift of tears to soften the fear and hardness of our soul. The first gift that the great mother brings us is the gift of tears, because it is the mother that always loves and cries when the child has to be punished. It is the mother love in us this week that could genuinely be sad that a life was lost, and at the same time we may feel some relief. That may be justified. I'm not debating that. But I am absolutely saying that it's a huge opportunity, especially this week where the mother's love is celebrated. It's a huge opportunity for each of us to find it in ourselves to say, that man had a mother, that man was someone's child. Parts of me are so lost, I do crazy things, but for the grace of God, there go I, as Paul said. Another writer, Reverend Kelly Isola, said, the tears we shed today quell the flames that ignite fear, hatred, and violence of tomorrow, because what we cry about points to what we care about. So my work today is to discover what I really care about when the storms of confusion and conflict are raging inside of me. Today I remain open, sharing the gift of my tears, watering the seeds of humanity, giving voice to the tenderness that is alive inside of me, tears watering the compassion and tenderness alive inside all humanity. Tears are evidence of our humanness. The mother's first gift is the gift of tears, the gift of unconditional love. So take a deep breath and say, take that in. And I choose to be a presence of healing and a mother's love in the face of all that is happening in our world. Praying for our leaders and praying for people of all faiths and traditions. It was President Woodrow Wilson who first made the official announcement proclaiming Mother's Day. And I don't know how I missed it all these years, but I didn't know until this year that actually the president proclaims Mother's Day every single year. There's a presidential proclamation. Did anyone else not know that? Yeah, I didn't know that. I was quite fascinated. You can find it online. The president proclaims Mother's Day. Well, the reason Mother's Day began actually in 1870 by a woman the name of Julia Ward Howe. She's the same woman who wrote the words for the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Now, what happened at the end of the Civil War, Julia Howe Ward had lost her son. And so she wrote a proclamation, a Mother's Day proclamation. I'd like to share parts of it with you. It says, "Arise, women of this day. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether our baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our sons shall not be taken from us to learn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those to another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs." She goes on and says, "Let us solemnly take counsel and realize that we are all part of one great human family, where we may be able to live in peace, not under the sacred impress of Caesar, but of God." That is the roots of Mother's Day. That it be a day of realizing we are part of one human family. So I think it is appropriate this week of all weeks that we learn to make peace with and cultivate the gift and the value of our tears, of being willing to cry. The second great gift the mother gives us is knowing that your life is your greatest message. A mother was washing dishes and she had her little daughter beside her. Her little daughter climbed up on a chair and stood beside mom to wash dishes. Anybody else do that when you were little? Or have your little ones climb up beside you and wash dishes? Yeah, my sister and I did that a lot. We always said our mother cleaned out the refrigerator when we washed dishes. She still does. So this little daughter is standing in a chair beside her mother washing dishes, and she looks over and she says, "Mom, there's some white hair in there with your gray hair. Did you know that?" And the mother said, "Yes, I'm afraid I did. I'm getting more and more gray hair." And the little girl said, "Mama, what makes you have gray hair?" And she said, "Worrying causes you to have gray hair." And she said, "Well, Mama, what worries you?" She said, "You children." The little girl looked over at Grandma and said, "Mama, what did you ever do to your mother?" Our children remind us that we are always living our life, our message. There's not a thing that gets past your children. They will embarrass you in a heartbeat to say something you didn't want said.